Okay, we've made it to chapter 10, last chapter, and then we're going to do an epilogue. But this is a chapter on performance. I like to give one window of these chapters to this pinnacle of many of our performing arts, which is the performance, and looking at what a performance is and what is a performance event and what just is performance, just on a basic level. So. Performance is the pinnacle of the dance, theater, and music forms. So, in our College of Fine Arts, we have the performing arts, and those are the arts that actually create these performances and invite public. So we have the performance event, which is a kind of experience that people have. It's also that kind of wonderful thing that we think in a performance that we brought work a dance to life, a play to life, and it happens in this moment, and then it's ephemeral and it disappears. And I think that's kind of a wonderful thing about our performing arts, is that there isn't a remnant. We can video record it, we can audio record it, we can take pictures of it, but these are all memories of the piece. They aren't the thing itself. Yeah, so there's something wonderful about those live entertainment and live art. Yeah, that we do it in front of others, and it also requires great technique. And the other thing about the technique that is that sometimes what we strive for is that the technique can become invisible, that it looks like it just happens ineffably. Yeah, so we'll look at those 2 points in this lecture. Now, part of that, this is Yoshi Oida, and he wrote a wonderful book that many of you should read called The Invisible Actor. Now, here's a great thing that he says in the book. I adored this when I read this. Is he said, "For me, acting is not about showing my presence or displaying my technique. Rather, it's about revealing through acting something else." Now, I love that idea that we're revealing something else, yeah? And that's something that an audience doesn't encounter in their daily life. Now, we've touched on those things in that whole aesthetic experience idea. He says the actor doesn't demonstrate it, it's not physically visible, but through the engagement of the onlooker's imagination, something else will appear in his or her own mind. For this to happen, the audience must not have the slightest awareness of what the actor is doing. They must be able to forget the actor. The actor becomes invisible. Now, there's something great about this quote, because within a work of art, it's like we're there, but we become the work of art. Yeah. Hamlet becomes Hamlet, not the actor playing Hamlet. Yeah. A musician becomes the Bach piece of music. There's something wonderful about Ouida's idea. And we have another kind of quote by him that we're going to look at in a minute also. Now, this is another great person to look at, and this is Richard Schechner. Now, Richard Schechner was a professor at NYU, and what he decided is that we need to study performance. And we don't need to study it just like, oh, here's dance, and here's theater, and here's this, that we'll study it within the discipline. He said he wanted to create a discipline that was performance studies, where they studied what it means to perform. Now, that's kind of fantastic. And so you can get a degree, a master's degree, a PhD studying performance studies. It's at NYU, and it's I've had students that have gone on from studying in my work to then go on and get performance studies degrees, and it's really served them well because they were really fascinated by what does this mean to perform. So here's Schechner's quote: that in business, in sports, in sex, to perform is to do something up to standard, to succeed, to excel. An artist, to perform is to put on a show, a play, a dance, a concert. And in everyday life, to perform is to show off, to go to extremes, to underlie an action for those who are watching. Now, what I like about this quote is it's saying that performance is everywhere, that we can study, you know, even somebody's report card is their performance. You know, my GPA measures my performance. Yeah. In life, my assessment report is measuring my performance. That we assess ourselves by how well am I performing at what I am doing. So we're going to look at that idea of what does it mean to perform. And I'll say that to perform, it's really to boldly step forward. Most of us think we're accomplishing something and we're doing it above the normal when we perform. So it usually denotes that we're functioning fully and we're not holding ourselves back, that we're meeting our full potentials and our full capabilities for our success. So, performance. Yeah. Now, Schechner says there are 8 sometimes separate but overlapping situations where we can study performance. He says it happens in everyday life, things like cooking, socializing, or just living. So if you cook a meal, you can say, oh my gosh, it's a fantastic meal. You performed well. Yeah. So we can assess things just in our everyday life. How well did I get through today? How well did I do the things that I had to do? Yeah. How well did I make this video? And collect my thoughts together and communicate them. So that is a kind of performance, all of these things. Now, he also says in the arts are performance, because we know that when we step onto a stage in front of an audience, we are performing. Yeah. He says in sports and other popular entertainments, so a sporting team, we measure the performance of the basketball, a team. And did they win the game? Did they not win the game? How well did each performer, how well did each player perform with that? Okay, in business, so if the company made money, if the company didn't make money, how well is that stock performing? Yeah. In technology, we look at performance all the time. I'm excited to get a new iPad because I looked at it and they said, well, the CPU and the GPU, it's 50% faster than last year's iPad. And I just thought, oh my gosh, I want it. And look at how well the screen is performing. And it's got 10,000 mini LEDs that are performing for me so that I can see the images on my screen so vividly. So performance in technology. Okay, in sex, there is performance. Yes, we won't get into that. You can think about that on your own. But also in ritual, in sacred and the secular. So the church is also a kind of performance, that there is a way that within rituals that we look at performances. And then also secular things too, because even I would say things like bar mitzvahs, things like birthday parties, they're kinds of performance celebrations that mark identity changes and they mark a kind of something happening. Yeah. And then also in play, when people just simply play, that is a kind of performance also. My dogs, when they play, I always say, oh my gosh, here's a performance, because, and often when they're fighting with each other, they're doing it for others to see it. They're doing it usually when someone's watching them that they want to impress. Often, me and the people in my house, they want to show off that, yes, I'm a tough little dog, and my big dog wants to show I'm a big girl and I'm in charge, so that all of those things can be there. So we can see from this list that it's a broad list and performance is everywhere. And in performance studies, you could study the performance of prisoners. You can study the performance of, even I had a former student who studied hunger strikes as a kind of performance event. Yeah. So that's amazing. But any event or action or behavior can be studied as a performance. That's what Richard Schechner believes. Now, here are the 7 functions of performance. Now, I love to share these with you. That performance, we use it to entertain, we use it to make something beautiful, we use it to change identity. Now, when I talked about a birthday party, a bar mitzvah, yeah, a marriage, those change one's identity. I am no longer the same person after this performance. Think about a wedding, all the planning that goes in there, because it's a significant mark that after this performance event, these lives will no longer be the same. They're now two become intertwined as one. Yeah. We use it to foster community. We use it to heal. We use it to teach, to persuade, to convince. And performance is used to deal with the sacred and even the demonic. Yeah. So when we talked about church with that. Now, to heal, there are some art forms that are used for therapy reasons, that we've found that the arts can be, and most of us can say it touches our soul, and a fantastic dance can heal us in a way. You know, that it can make us feel better. It can make us feel like we can keep going on. So a wonderful list by Richard Schechner of performance studies.